It is time to bring in the frickin' frack of Nick and Nack, Tim, Luke, and Greg Strahm, the Appraisal Guys. You can find them at tqag.com, and you can also find them right here on a Tuesday morning on Robin Hood Radio. Good morning, guys.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
And how's weather been down there in the beautiful state of Florida?
Well, we're already at your today's high. And it's raining down here in Florida. Now, I'm not sure where it is, where Tim is.
Yeah, I'm in Nantucket, actually, and it is 63 degrees here. So,
Nantucket.
Wasn't there a man that used to come from Nantucket? There was.
There were men, women, children, and they all came from Nantucket, and they did something that sooner or later turned out to be devastatingly bad.
Right, it was something with a bucket. I don't know.
That's as far as I'm going. Sorry. I do have a little decorum.
I'm sorry. When you think of Nantucket, that's exactly what comes to your mind. Okay, which one do you remember first?
Yeah.
No, to tell you the truth, I don't remember any of them except somebody with a bucket. That's all I remember.
All right. Well, we'll start off someplace where I'm comfortable, and that is Barrett Jackson had their Houston auction, $37 million. Of course, what helped that? A Porsche 928, which was driven by Tom Cruise in Risky Business, went for $1.98 million.
Amazing. Whenever you have anything like that again, it's a crossover type of collectible, because not only is it for memorabilia fans that knew the movie, things like that, but also it's the car, it's the actor, it's all of those things. Who owned it, the provenance, all of those things create a perfect storm for people to just put their paddle in the air and say, "Yeah, I'll go one more." Sure, let me try and get this.
You know, some of the cars that were up for auction there, and one that didn't get a ton of money. Why? Listen to me. One that didn't do that well, and that is the 1966 Shelby, a Ford Shelby. It was Sterling Moss's race car. Now, this is an incredibly famous name in racing. That car only went for $495,000. Now, years ago, you would have been astounded to hear that, but when you hear $495,000 as compared to $1.98 million, wow.
I know, it's kind of ho-hum, isn't it?
No, really, isn't it? It's terrible to say that, but Sterling Morris's car only got almost $500,000. What a loser! I mean, holy smokes!
Well, there was a time when $400,000 selling something at auction would have been a world record. That's just the way it is. But with everything that's been happening over the past 2 years, I've noticed a trend in people becoming blasé about things selling for a lot of money, because there are things that are selling for a lot more money than we are sometimes used to hearing about. So, $400,000 is no chump change.
No,
I got to be honest with you. But when you consider the alternative to what's been selling on both online auctions and live auctions, I think one of the reasons is because now it has definitely become a worldwide market, and people doesn't matter where you are, when the auction happens, if you're interested, you can sign up and bid, and I think that's what drives a lot of the prices up to these astronomical amounts.
Well, the top 4 cars in that auction sold for top 3 cars sold for over $4 million. The top 3 cars, and then everybody.
I'd like to find out how many, if of those record-breaking cars, how many of them actually were in the room, and how many of them were on the phone, or how many of them were online, because those 3 statistics are very important. It could be a completely different outcome if it was just a live auction instead of have the internet component.
Well, exactly. Most auctions,
most auctions do have telephone bidding, but that's not talked about nearly as much as the online bidding. So I think that's really one of the driving forces behind why these prices reaching such epic proportions.
When you say epic proportions, also at that auction, two signs. There was a 1940 to 50 Flying A Service A, flying service, which was just a regular sign, an animated porcelain sign, sold for over $77,000.
Wow.
And a mobile oil Pegasus, and if you know that Pegasus, the horse there,
yes,
that's desirable.
The left-facing animated porcelain neon sign sold for almost $70,000. Now, I think that people that collect cars and have extensive selections now are also putting all these antique signage and other things in along with their cars to make it obviously more of an exciting thing to see. Obviously.
Well, Tim, do you remember the times that we have sold some of these items? It does seem that people who have collections, vintage car collections, do also collect. They're starting to collect vintage gas pumps, the original signs.
Part of the advertising. Yeah,
the advertising, and that is in and of itself a separate thing,
right,
collect, sell, but it's also, because if you have a car collection, it's a great crossover. Advertising and automobiles go hand in hand.
Oh, most definitely. But I really believe at this point now, but remember, Greg, is that people appreciated it, but the price point was, it was in the hundreds, in maybe low thousands. Now it's in the 5,000, 10,000, in that range, because more and more people have come to appreciate it and realize it's a lot easier to put one of those advertising signs on the wall and enjoy it inside than to put your car collection in your living room. So
that's so true.
Where it's a little bit of a easier crossover, but it can carry over into other areas and you appreciate it. And I think that we're seeing now that more and more people are not only appreciating it, but also the desirability and the rarity of the early signs, because there's a lot of the reproductions that are out there, but if you can get one of the early ones, that's what I think is driving a lot of this as well. And I think you're seeing that more and more.
I'll tell you something, Marshall. I'm in the midst of helping Tim with a very big appraisal, and in doing the research, I have discovered this past 3 weeks since I've been working on this project, I'm beginning to see a trend across the board on auctions, especially online auctions, where the prices are increasing substantially in certain areas, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. But you can see with all of these records that have been broken that it makes sense that the auctions online and the bottom line for these companies has increased. I'll give you a good example. I was looking at the kiss of death when you're selling an estate, and that's usually chandeliers. They don't sell very well. Yeah. However, this estate that I'm working on had a significant number of really fine chandeliers, which 5 or 10 years ago would be bringing $400, $500, $600 for these massive chandeliers. Now, you can add a zero to pretty much everything. I was really just gobsmacked when I started doing the research on the chandeliers that. I know this got to be a mistake. But it's a trend. I'm starting to notice that there are certain things that in the collecting field where things are increasing in value, and I don't know if it's going to be a long-lasting trend. I mean, if we knew that, we'd be millionaires. But I have noticed that, and it was so noticeable that I had to mention it, because sometimes when somebody says, "Oh, I have a chandelier," and it's like, "Oh my God, we'll never sell that." You might as well just donate it. Well, not so much anymore. So I mean, things have have taken an upswing since maybe the past couple of years. I've noticed, and especially after the past year and a half, when people were sort of held hostage, and what they do, went online and they auctions.
Well,
Yeah.
So,
it's interesting. I'm also looking at some of the advertisements on the internet for auctions, and they're almost like movie advertisements.
Trailers.
How to Disappear Completely. Stanley Donwood and Tom York is being put together by Christie's. That's going to be in London, October 9th through the 15th. And it looks just like you're going to go into a movie trailer, and it's not. It's talking about the artworks that are going to be 6 major artworks that are going to be presented in a virtual. I love this virtual viewing room.
yeah. That's that is a trend. That is definitely a trend. People are becoming so much more comfortable about viewing and bidding online. It's still not going to replace the old-fashioned walking into the gallery, but it does bring that Hollywood treatment does bring other new people into the industry. So
fold.
Yeah.
I would just say that I would think that auctions are never going to completely lose that touch where people want to go in and actually see something in 3D and actually, like in a car auction, go up to it, walk around it, look inside of it, and other auctions, go and look at lots and stuff like that, because there's just that uniqueness about auctions like that. And if you have the if you have the knowledge and you go there, there's just so many more advantages to actually seeing what you're looking at, other than virtually looking at it.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, one of the other big factors is that Hollywood treatment. It generates interest to the point where it becomes happening. So that's another great way to use your marketing capability to get people into the fold. And when you see some of these things, they look just like movie trailers. I agree. They look just like something that's going to be a big summer smash hit, But it's that's the way I think that we're heading, and auctions are never going to go away, live auctions. But this is just another aspect that. It's what do they call it? An unintended consequence.
Well, it is, but it's also an emerging market. It's an emerging technology that the auction houses are able to tap into, so that they can tap into a whole nother group of people that may not have been able to attend the auction, but now can watch it virtually or can bid. And because of that, the auction houses are responding so that things are coming. The viewing time online basically has been extended. So if there is interest, people can either go in, take a look at it early, or request a lot of information about the piece. So I think that's really it's just a whole. We're in the midst of seeing this expansion of what's going on, and the accessibility of bidders, which is a great thing. And I think that helps not only the market, but it also helps the auction house. It helps the seller. It's win-win all the way around. Making sure that happens. The problems become is that when the internet goes down, or when something goes wrong with the technology, that's when it's like, wait a minute, oh my gosh, because it's great, but just like with everything else, when there's a little bit of when there's a glitch, these things happen. I also wanted to bring up, Marshall, that if you recall, about 4 years ago, that Banksy painting that was shred during the live auction.
Yes.
that is coming back up for auction. And that is going to be sold at Sotheby's in October. And if you recall that the piece sold 3 years ago for $1.4 million, and the shredder malfunctioned and stopped halfway. And the artist, Banksy, renamed the piece, and the work has been on view at a museum in Stuttgart, and so it's been exhibited, it's been out there, and now is back up for auction with an estimate of $5 to $8 million. So it'll be interesting to see where that sells. And remember, we talked about that because that's going to be worth more, and we were like, yes. And even the head of Sotheby's art department said the unique nature of this is that this was an artwork created during an auction. And so that's what they're using as a marketing of this unique work, is that and remember when we talked about it at the time, it was over 1 billion views on YouTube. I mean, just it's going to be incredible to see what this ends up selling for.
Well, this begs another question. Okay, they did it once. Do you think the second half is going to get shred?
Well, I think that's
and then create even a third piece of art?
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know, but it's one of those things that you just you almost knew it was coming, even though it took a couple of years to come. One final thing, Tim, and this is for you and Greg. I think one thing that having all these virtual auctions mixed in with real auctions does. I have a feeling that going to an auction, whether it's an automobile auction, whether it's fine art, whatever it is, people that go there like going there. And it's almost like an outing for them. And the way you dress, the style you go in, what you're going. Is any of that excitement lost with now this mixture of virtual and live?
I don't think so. I think
that is a good question, though, because there are those diehards who really enjoy the entertainment value, for lack of a better word, because that's when they do these Hollywood production things for the auctions, it is entertainment, and that's what's getting people in.
Sure.
But
but I don't think it's lost.
There is definitely something to be said about going to a preview at a major auction house and walking in. There's just an electricity and an energy that you just don't get online. So I don't really think that it's something that's being lost, but it is changing somewhat, and it's kind of taken a back seat to the internet, but it's never going to go away. There are people who really there's an aura about going to a live auction where they're going to sell a painting for $80 million that you just cannot get online. So I don't think
there's still a sense of excitement that does happen. I mean, with all of the apps that the auction houses have put out, where you can actually watch the live auction on your phone while it's happening. So there is something about that live event happening and being able to watch. Now, yes, I would agree that the energy in the room, and that's the difference between a live performance and watching something on a screen that isn't. It creates its own little bit of drama, but it's very different than watching something live. Mm-hmm. But remember, we were watching the jewelry sale that Heinemann did, and when that diamond sold for $300,000, that we knew that there was going to be excitement, and you could even hear it in the auctioneer's voice and what was going on. Even though you couldn't see the bidding that was going on, you could feel the excitement, because the auctioneer did a very good job of saying, it's here, it's on this phone, it's against you, and oh my goodness, and here it is. There is something about that, and I think that more and more auction houses will realize that it is more than just calling bids. It's entertainment as well, and I think that
I just hope they don't lose.
Helps.
I just hope that some of the auction houses that are going this route don't go to the extreme and make it more about the entertainment value of trying to sell something than it is to actually the asset, because that, after all, that's what the auction is about. So there needs to be a good balance between entertainment and good business, basically. So
but I think that that in itself does help. I wanted to bring up one last thing, is that, and this is going to be sold next week at Heinemann. It's a Renoir painting, and what is significant about this is that it's a piece that I came across my second day working for the company, and I've been worked with the client. We did some market analysis and everything, and now it is coming up for auction next week. It is Renoir, and it's the roses, his flowers. It's from his flower series, and it'll be exciting to see this sell. It's estimated at 100 to 150,000, and it's just a sweet, nice little painting. It was just really wonderful to work on this. So I'm excited to see what this ends up selling for, and that'll be part of the fine art auction that Heinemann is doing next week.
All right.
So, and next week, I'll be in Chicago. It's like, where in the world is Tim?
Back on the move again. Back on the move.
Back on the move. Non-stop, buddy.
All right, guys. Have a good week, and we'll speak to you next week.
Okay, have a great week.
Take care. Tim Luke and Greg Strahm, the Appraisal Guys, the frickin' frack of Nick and Knack. TQAG.com is where you'll find them on the web.